mouse, feathers, and the gloves. Okay. Just trying to focus on a couple of the spots I need to work on. That one is the same as the other color. I think it was just you. Alright. I don't know what it is, but I can't ever get like a good solid red color done properly. It's always a little off. I don't know why. But here we go. This aspect. This one has a bit of a brightened spot there. Of the highlight. Give it the tiniest bit of white. Try and get that. Should it be white? Maybe. It just takes the tiniest bit of white. Just to brighten it up a little. And it's right here. Doesn't really show. Bit more maybe? Not too much, because then it'll get very pale. Maybe we can introduce the other red I've got. Maybe that'll soften it up some. That looks okay. That looks okay. Also need a little bit of blacken in there for the darker bit on the bottom, as well as filling in the spaces on the gloves, which was, I believe, a mix of both the blacks I've got here. Which I will need a bit more of. I don't quite have black like that elsewhere. Okay, so darkened up area right here. Alright, that's functional. That's good. Hello, hello. Nordic Forge. Welcome, welcome. Sitting here, trying to work on some finishing touches on this painting here. Welcome, welcome. Give me just a sec. There we are. Okay. Yes, welcome, welcome. Been spending the time recently trying to teach myself to paint. It's actually pretty fun. Doing all right. So, how's your day been going? It's been weird lately for me. Work yesterday was like really slow, but other than that, the world's kind of crazy. Not to bring up anything like that, but hey, but the world will be what it is. Gloves. Okay. I think it was mainly this color, and mixed in with that one was the color I have for gloves. Sorry, talking to myself, trying to figure out how I got these colors. I think that was it. We'll see, we'll see. All we can do is live in it. Yep, absolutely. And yeah, all we can do is live in it. But you don't have to live by their rules. You can live life by yours, which is one of the things I'm trying to do. But the comment about me being a good teacher, I kind of have to accept that a bit, because one of the things I've been able to do is explain things in ways people can understand. At least I try to. I've had a lot of experience with it. Family members, friends, people, at my job too. I'm currently working at Radio Shack. What part of the world am I in? I am in Washington State, U.S., northeast corner of it. Way up there in the mountains and the forest, and middle of kind of nowhere, really. Yeah, oh yeah, where are you from? I get people from all over. I can't ever assume where anyone is from. It just is all over the place online. Yeah, apparently most of my viewers are from Australia now, which is kind of fascinating to me. All the way on the other side of the world. People just pop in and say hello. Only on like Twitch and streams can like stuff like that happen. Swampy armpit of Florida. You have my pity, man. You wouldn't happen to be Florida Man, would you? I hear he's kind of a menace down there. Yeah. Florida. I think you're the first one from Florida. Who's taking a look at me? Hopped in on chat. So cool. And it's like, I should have a pin. I've got like a world map up here. I should maybe move that down somewhere closer. But it's how dare you, sir? Oh, my apologies. Would you happen to be a lady then? Florida lady. The Florida man. Yeah, no, it's I kid. But yeah, it's just, you have to admit some of those thank you. You have to admit some of those stories are pretty interesting, even if they're crazy and silly and off the walls. It's at least interesting enough. All right, give me 1 second. I gotta fade up this line here. And bit less. You are not wrong. I tend not to be. I tend to be correct most of the time. Except when I'm not, and then it's just a mistake. On somebody else's part. No. I make plenty of mistakes. Currently, a lot of them tend to involve painting. Most of it's close, but every so often it's just, why can't I get it to look right? It's always something odd. But yeah, it's self-taught painting. This is my. These are my previous ones, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4. With some Bob Ross painting prior to that, and that's all I've got for painting. Unless you count miniature painting, which I used to do, but I ran out of paint. I happened to let my paint freeze in the winter. It was in a hobby shed that wasn't insulated properly. All the paint froze and then thawed or something in the spring. It was weird. The paint came out with all these little weird white specks. I couldn't paint with them. Oh, come on. There we are. Alright, specific project? Not particularly. Just whatever catches your fancy. Whatever catches my fancy. Alright, cool. Yeah, I've got some of them up there. I used to do mini painting. But like I said, the little tubes I had, a whole bucket. And I was worried about using it up. I wanted to make sure I had everything smooth and pieced together and proper. Everything was all ready. But then I ran out of time. Winter came. It's like, okay, I'll finish it next time. Came back. All the paint was bad. The entire bucket of stuff I didn't want to waste was all entirely wasted. So ever since then, I've tried to work at using up stuff while I have it and not worry too much about wasting it. Because you can always just get more. But yeah. In terms of projects, these ones here, Umineko, if you're ever familiar with it, this is the Beatrice portraits. They're kind of what started me in painting. In the game, they have this portrait here. This was the first portrait I've ever done. And it's a remake of the one in the game, in the story. And turned out pretty good, especially for a first try. Okay. But thank you. It used to be my brain will go off on tangents if you let it, so give me a sec. That game has the main portrait, and throughout this game it changes place. That's Beatrice the Golden, and the one over there is Beatrice the Elder. Then they have Erica Battler and a couple other people who take place in that portrait. And I thought it might be fun to kind of do the whole thing, just like make one of every one. But I found that my skills weren't quite entirely up to snuff enough to do it justice. So I started working on other ones that I just kind of picked at random-ish to try and work up my skills, get better at it. And here we are. Currently painting an Amazon from the game Dragon's Crown. And almost done, actually. I've got just a couple of little finishing touches, little spots to clear out. Oh, I think I need to... Give me a sec. I need to paint a mouth. She's got a bunch of feathers on her head, the band, and a couple other miscellaneous things. And yeah, just I'm kind of working out whatever happens to be. Give me one moment here. Smaller brush. But yeah, it's just... Okay, yeah, it is. I'm just kind of here painting. I did have another viewer come in here yesterday, the day before. Days tend to blur together a bit. And she gave me a pretty nice tip. And I asked her if she wanted me to paint anything, and she said she likes Sailor Moon and Phoenix Wright, so that might be a direction I go to next time for my next painting. Yeah. And one of the things is I can see it if you got the reference here. This is the reference here, and I transferred over with a grid pattern. If I can see it, I can recreate it. I'm trying to branch out into doing things that aren't pre-made, already done, things like that. And so I think that my next painting might be a good example of that. Try out something new. Try my hand at making something that doesn't quite exist, because that's always been my problem. One thing I've always had trouble with, because if I can see it, I can do it. If I can't see it, it ends up like stick figure or balloon person. You know, if you've ever tried drawing or whatnot, you kind of know what it is, because here I can see the muscle. This is exactly how it looks like. The bicep goes there, the one's down here over there, the gloves, they go about that, and you can see it. But then if you can't, you have to mentally picture it onto the thing, and that's where I always fall apart. And it looks like those round, simplified balloon people, and it just bugs the hell out of me, because it's like, I can do this, why can't I do the next step? But one step at a time, and you eventually make it to where you need to go. Oh, right, I need, I think the band on there. Right, the highlights on here, How do I get those yellows? Practice. And that's the thing. I spent a lot of time actually kind of not afraid of practice, but afraid of failing, which in turn caused me to not practice. Because I would spend a good amount of time trying to figure out. Sorry. But yeah, like that one, I've spent a hell of a lot of time on that one trying to get it accurate and right and perfect. Still not quite there, but I ran into the pitfall of being a perfectionist and trying. No, just take your time. And yeah, that's what I've learned. That's why I'm doing stuff like this. If you pay attention, it's proportionally right. Things are about in the same spot, but the colors are pretty off. And the grass here, much different green than the kind of almost pasty one here. And so I'm trying to slowly work my way into failing and allowing myself to fail in order to succeed. It's a weird concept, but it's something that does work. Oh, should I? Yeah, sec. Yeah. Move forward better. Yeah, it's you don't quite notice it when you're starting out, but that is eventually what happens. You're afraid of failing. Because I would spend like a single piece of work, and I spend like I had no deadline on it, and so I'd sit there and try and perfect it, 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 and get it all right and proper and good and accurate. But then, that is, give me a second, I'm noticing a spot that needs a little bit of work. Don't know if this will screw it up, but let's give it a shot. But I'd spend so much time on a single piece and try and get that one thing perfect, as opposed to getting multiple pieces done and getting them good enough. And it's a weird kind of step to go through, but it's one that'll eventually pay off. Because one of the other aspects, it's like it's weird how everything just kind of compounds. Because I would have like one perfect picture, but then it's like pretty good, but still not perfect because my skills aren't quite there. They're best my skills had at the moment. But then you'd get discouraged because you only have this one picture and it took you a month to do it, and it's nice, but you need to do more. But if you're afraid of failing or just doing things that may or may not work out, it won't get very far. So that's what I'm doing. Because it honestly would take me like a month plus to get like good projects going. But I've hammered this one out in about a week and a half, almost 2 weeks for this one. A week for that, and those ones took a lot longer. But that's partly because I wasn't doing it every day. It was like a couple times a week. Yes and no. Don't worry too much about how long it takes, I can agree, but at the same time, having a deadline, like this one, right over here. This one, I gave myself a project to do it in a week, and I managed to do it. A little bit of overtime, streaming-wise, but I managed to do this one in a week. it was a bit simpler of a background, which helped with that, but I wanted to try and work it and get it done. Because if I didn't have that deadline, I wouldn't have worked myself and tried to push myself. I would have just kind of set my comfort zone. Yeah, I got all the time in the world, and eventually 2 weeks later I'd have everything spot on perfect. But by doing it with a deadline, I pushed myself to be a bit faster, work a bit more, and more efficiently. And it kind of worked out. This one was a pseudo deadline. Thank you. And again, I have to say, all of these were from images that are not mine. But the painting is. Do you know what the term for that would be? Yeah, it's like I always have to feel like I have to explain these steps. I need to touch that up. Because it's not tracing, it kind of is copying, but it's not. I don't mean to take credit for the original artist. I just need to take credit for this paint job I'm doing. It's weird. It's always hard to explain, but at the same time, it's something that, give me 1 second. It's, I don't know. It's just this weird distinction that I don't quite know how to describe, other than some long, lengthy process. But yeah, it's, I think I'm doing okay. I think I'm growing a bit because of all these things I've done. But yeah, do not be afraid to fail. That is definitely a key component to it. Okay, so sorry, I've got this one here mostly for just positioning, but I've got one on the screen for coloring because my printer has the wrong colors on this one. Alright, so a little bit of a touch up on there. What? Let's go with a different brush. Growing and learning, absolutely. But it took me a long time to realize that in order to do that, you gotta fail and be okay with that. There's nothing inherently wrong with wanting to do things right, but there is something inherently wrong with refusing to learn because of that. Or something. I don't know. But yeah, we're allowed to make mistakes. We're human. We're allowed to be what we are. So that's what I'm trying to do. Okay, and here. There. And a little bit right there. Okay, that's alright. That's alright. And as you can see, I've already taken some liberties of this blue sky here isn't actually on the paper. So I'm trying some new things. I'm trying to branch out a bit. Potentially. The actual artist is Amika Kita. It's actually, I had to cut this off to get a proper size on it. But yeah, it's right here. But yeah, Amika, I think that's a female name. I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, it's, the only way to move up, succeed, and do better is to fail and learn from it. You can technically, shit. A bit too much there. Try and, maybe I'll fix it up later. But yeah, it's you have to move, you have to improve, you have to keep going, because I used to look up a lot of motivational speeches, things like that, because I did have some trouble with that at times. And one of the things is, like, a lot of the successful people, the people who do well and succeed, have a similar mindset of just go, work through it and keep going. And it's, if you know what it is you're looking for, you can see it just about anywhere. I'm gonna touch up something. Where was it? Oh, there it is. And it's but you see these people, they one way I tend to look at it is spam. It's just keep going, get it up, get it done, as opposed to perfect. Because one of the examples is my dad and his friend. My dad had a business making suits of medieval armor for reenactors and people who were interested in the martial arts of it, sword fighting in full plate and stuff. And he had a friend who was also into the armor making business, but he focused more on perfect quality pieces, like an exact replica of some king's helm or whatever, with all those stupid little details entirely perfect. My dad focused on the high quality mid-grade armor, and that guy focused on not battle ready but perfectly accurate stuff. My dad could get the armor out in a matter of weeks or months, depending on how intensive, how much of the suit was. But the other guy took like months to years to make a single piece. And my dad could say, I made this, 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 I learned how this works, so I put it in here. But the other guy would sit there and like just meticulously go over every single spot. And it's the exact same thing that we're talking about here. My dad was not afraid to fail. He even has a story of the mushroom incident. Now, he was trying to figure out how to make the helmet, because there's no real guide tutorial on how to make a helmet. This is what a helmet looks like, but how do you do that? How do you make it? And so he had to figure it out. I think it was the Roman centurion, whatever rank they are, that he was trying to work out. You know those Roman, like, it's dome cap with a little line, and then like the cheek guards here. He was trying to figure out how to make that, and so he sat in the shop, and he had the metal, and he was sitting there working at it. Didn't work out. He'd chuck it over shoulder, come up with another spare, work on it, chuck it over shoulder, work on it. Didn't work. And so my mom one day came home and into his shop, and the floor was just like littered with all these imperfect failure pieces. And she said it looked like the whole ground was full of like all these mushrooms and such. And so we tell that story every so often and laugh at it. But it goes to show that's what it takes to learn. That's what it takes to succeed and do better. If you're ever worried about like failing on this one piece to the point you're unwilling to take a risk and figure out how it works, you can't quite go ahead with it. And it's a weird state of mind, but it's very simple, very straightforward. Now I'm working on her lips here. It's a very, very faint and light color. Let's try this in the yellow, maybe? We'll try that one. Alright, no, that's fine. It's go ahead, knock yourself out. I got people lurk here every so often. I just continue to sit here and chat and mumble and talk about whatever it is. Oh, cool. Huh? I'll be here painting. Might try and keep you occupied. So, do not blame me for any wrongdoings at work or something like that. That's not my fault, that's on you. But yeah, I am slowly trying to work at allowing myself to fail and do more stuff like that. Okay, so we've got this color here. It's a light peach. And the dark on the lips. Mouths are something I've always had a bit of an issue with doing properly. Alright, it's especially ones made from color and not just line work. Alright, so let's see. I think that's probably a good color, but I'm going to lighten it up just a little bit more. Try and get it a bit proper. I can always darken it up a bit more. It's a little a little harder to lighten something up. Paint my... I think I need you. Alright, you. Okay, okay. Not quite there. Okay, so... those are troublesome. I don't know what it is, but they're hard to do right. Maybe because I'm working at such a small scale. That is one thing I have found out, is that the scale of a project actually helps learn a lot more. Because, give me one sec, trying really hard to do this right. Because I have messed it up before. It looks tiny. Wait. No. But hello, hello. Welcome, welcome. Working on just some of the final touches here, man. Currently, it's the mouse, which I don't know why, but I can't get it right. You seem okay for the top, but the bottom look needs a bit more. Maybe a dry brush. Okay, so it goes center of the eye. I've got that. But right about there. Fill this in a little. That's not right. Woot woot. A bit. How does that work? Give me a sec. Trying something here. It's right there. Shit, that's... yeah. I think it in this particular case, it's the small scale that's throwing me off. I don't quite know how to make a incredibly fine line for such a small area. And it made it look weird. I'll come back to it. And this is a bit where I'm afraid of doing it wrong and screwing it up. Parts, but I do know I can try again and try again and try again. But still, it's just frustrating not being able to do it right. Alright, now for the feathers, which are black into a gray, which I think might work with that color here. But yeah, it's I hope to have this done by today. Just trying to work my way through it. Actually, I should. You know what, let's go with that. Give me 1 second. Figure I can do that first. Get it a bit cleaner on the edges there, maybe. And I need this brush. And I'm not giving up the mouse. I really do want to get that right. I'm just... one of the things I found is don't try and stress on something too much when you're trying to figure it out. You can work on something else and then come back to it. Sometimes it comes back with fresher eyes or something of that nature, and you can come back at it with a different perspective. Maybe, oh, that's what it was. Those points where you get too close to the project to see the forest for the trees or something. And I still have these grid lines that I want to get rid of. Come on, go away. Just take the paint and stop being there. Alright. And sometimes just doing this stuff, just mindless filling, will help for your head too. It really does help to not get frustrated, which I can get easily frustrated on things not working right, so I guess it's one way of a coping mechanism somehow. Maybe. But yeah, I'm hoping to be able to work on this and get it done. I might actually finish it really early. Might be able to work on the next project then, or at least figure out what the hell we might work with. Oh yeah, you weren't sure what I said, but a viewer from yesterday gave a big tip on coffee, and I asked her if she wanted me to make anything for her. She said no, that's all right, but she likes Sailor Moon and Phoenix Wright. So I think I might explore that option a bit. I'm gonna try to do something a bit more creative, something that doesn't exist that I'll try and paint and truly be able to say I made this, for the most part. I don't know how well that'll turn out, but I'd like to give it a shot, see where we get to. One more spot right over here. One of the reasons I'm doing this is, one of the fascinating things about paint is you have a primer type layer. This isn't actually primer, but it's a layer underneath that affects the color above it, which I've always thought was kind of fascinating. It works out. So instead of just having a red, and if I put the red color on there, it wouldn't be red, it'd be a bit brighter because of it. I've seen all sorts of videos and the like on them, the subject. It can be a bit awesome, yes. Yeah, shit. But yeah, it's do I have a prepared one? No, I do not. Well, I wouldn't really need a grid for this one, would I? I might. Well, we'll figure it out as we go. I don't quite know what steps to do or how to go about it, but I know I can just start, figure it out as I go. Alright, so that's the white. Let's go with the black of the feather. They did have a central stem, like that middle spine of the feather. What would that be called? Does that have a name? Now I'm curious. Does that have a name? Okay, so this one is on top, the other one is behind. Okay. Anyway, so now I'm just working on getting the feathers up. And one of the things I do have trouble with is the illusion of detail. And that's something that's I'm starting to notice more and more, because a lot of the artwork I have a big old stockpile of artwork in a folder, kind of reference inspirational stuff like that, just things I found interesting. And in it, it's like all these pictures that oh man, these are pretty awesome. If you actually stop and take a closer look at it, there's actually a lot of detail missing in them. Alright, give me one moment. Focusing on some of And prior to me actually like working on these portraits and the like, I would have thought they were done like really, really stupendously well. They still are, but not quite to the level I originally perceived them to be, and it's a fascinating thing to notice. Because I always assumed that the detail was there, but the detail is in specific areas, which helps out. Next picture. Me neither. I don't know what it'll be. But I'll keep going. I've got currently I've got 3 more canvases left to work with before I have to go out and buy another one. Another set or whatever. So we'll see where we go. I do want to finish the Louis Eckel ones, and I think I might be able to finish up that Beatrice the Elder. I think I might just do a reset on the face and try and fix it up and correct it. But well, the other options is this is the Amazon. There's also the Sorceress that I thought might be an interesting project to work on. Give me a second. Might try that as a just a casual project. But then the next project I really do want to try and work on is the viewer request one, I guess. And I want to take a shot at doing it, yeah, from imagination for the most part. Not quite sure how it'll turn out, but it'll be an adventure. Who doesn't like a good adventure? Alright, so we've got you out here. Okay, so and bends up and around, and then the tip there. Any ideas? The theme is Sailor Moon and or Phoenix Wright. That's all I've really got to work with. And nothing too complicated like some galactic battle with whoever, what's his face, over legal fees or something, I don't know. I'm just gonna try and do a simple one-person portrait shot of some middling degree. You know what? I'm gonna do a solely Sailor Moon aspect. Because I personally have never actually watched the show. I know of it. Sailor, Jupiter, Mercury, Neptune, and stuff like that. I know of them, but I don't know anything about the show. Other than that, it's a bunch of girls who transform for reasons, and there's a tuxedo man. That's literally the extent of it. Michael J. Fox and Teen Wolf? I don't know. So yeah, I think I think the Sailor Moon aspect might be an interesting way to go about it, because most people get their origins starting in anime and stuff with Sailor Moon or Dragon Ball and the like. And so it might be interesting. My first ever truly from imagination drawing being Sailor Moon, being the starting reference point for it. I think that might be an interesting little hidden meaning behind it or so. Of course, I could just be saying all this random shit and nothing actually comes from it, but we'll see, we'll see. There you are. Little spike there. Little feathering there. Pops up over here. Just a little bit, another spike. And a bit more. Because yeah, like right here, what I'm doing here is the illusion of detail. I can't make it as precise as that. but I can make it look similar to that, which is a very specific and distinct function that I wasn't really aware of before. I'm still learning that those little bits. Yeah, I used to be of the belief I need to make it as exact and correct as possible. I'm not making a attempt at coloring it. I'm trying to make an exact representation of it. Therefore, if this is not in the exact position, it's horrible, or thereabouts. Is some of the mindset I used to work with. But I've matured a bit. I've found that the illusion of detail means a lot more than I thought it would. Alright, so there's most of it. I think I can do a bit more of a darkening on this area here at the base of this feather, and work at coloring it up, brightening it up as we go. Alright, so the feathers look okay. I could give a shot at you know what, let's it's not white, it's a gray, so give me a sec. Mix it up for here. Let's see if I can get something a little closer to the picture. And too much white. Alright, there we are. Yeah, so let's give this one a shot. This seems decent color. You seem a decent fellow. I'd hate to kill you. You seem a decent fellow. I'd hate to kill you. Who are you? Princess Bride. An absolute classic in every regard. The other day, I saw a video about this lady analyzing the fight scene between Inigo and the masked pirate Roberts. This goes, yeah, right about there. And it was fascinating seeing her watch and comment on it, and how it was made in, I believe, the 80s. That's fascinating. The color here on this one, it's the same paint. This one shows up as light, but over there it shows up as the same color. Fascinating, fascinating. But she went and analyzed the fight scene and how it was actually really, really well done. And how it wasn't just the other one with Drew Barrymore too. Other one? What other one? There's another Princess Bride? Wait, what? What? You just lost me, man. I did not know that there was another one. I thought there was only one. It's not per se, but this is fantasy. Okay. Well. Carry on then. But yeah, it's but yeah, the Princess Bride. That is a very, very spectacular film, and what's really amazing about it is it's a timeless piece. It's got just like a weirdly perfect amount of charm in it, from beginning to end. And it's a simple, fun film. There's no real stupendous meaning or heavy-hitting themes, so there are a couple. But it's a simple little fun film. Give me a sec. A little bit less. There we are, maybe? Oh yeah, I needed that one. I needed that color. Right about here. Okay, I think that's okay. I think that's okay. But I do need a little bit of a distinction between the feathers. But yeah, it's I think I might go watch that again sometime. Haven't had a chance to check out only done this once before. Safety Not Guaranteed. I haven't been able to watch that one yet. I'm looking forward to it, but I still work currently. Yeah, that's it. I got it. My brain just took a minute to sort through things. It tends to do that. That has been one that's been on the radar, and I think you've recommended it before, but I think I just lost track of things. I can't remember specifically. But yeah, it's one that's been of interest. I think that was it. I was waiting to watch it with family, but they never got together, so we never watched it, and it kind of became one of those things. Oh, wait, that one's on top? Yeah, whatever. I got it wrong, barely. But see, that's one of the things why it's okay to make a couple of mistakes. It's even when I'm like this close and paying incredible attention to it, I still can't quite see where it is. Alright. Actually, I think I could do a little bit more. A little bit, just a little bit of a touch up right over here. Give it a bit more sense of depth. And it still is really fascinating to me how small little details can make such a big difference. Like, I don't think it'll show up on camera, but like right here, I've got a very solid black at the base of the feather. Then a bit more of a gray, followed by a very pale version of the gray, very faded one. And it gives this illusion of there's very harsh shadow here, and then it lightens up as it goes out. And it's cool seeing that happen. And I started with just the base color, and then added a highlight and a shadow, and now it looks 3D. Painting in 3D. And all that jazz. But yeah, it's cool just watching everything kind of develop. Now, I think that's most everything. I think I do have a couple of small touch-up points that got overlapped during the process. Other than that, I think all that's left is the mouth. Yay. Alright, so let's go with the mouth. Actually, not too bad now that I've taken a step back from it. It's actually not perfect, but not too bad, but I don't quite know what to do about it. Well, let's... It's very specific on that color, and I can't place it. Let's try a hand. Let's try another shot. Yellow for the bit of skin color. red for the color of the lips. I think I got some more there I can reuse. And then white to try and peel it out. The other aspect is, it seems on the lips, the bottom one, he's got a bit of a highlight on there. So maybe that's what I'm missing. Let's see. I'll need some of you and a lot of white. Maybe just do it the other way around. Let's try that. And get just the tiniest, absolutely minuscule highlight going. See if that makes a difference. Like I was just saying, the small little things make a big difference. Let's go see. Let's see. All right. So clean this off definitely. I don't know why, but I can't ever just clean these off properly. Or what I think is properly. I always forget. Especially when they're still in my hand. Okay, so I've got you mostly cleaned off. Let's get you. Clean off a little bit. And then give just the absolute tiniest highlight I've ever worked on. That made a difference, but it's okay. I think the bottom lip needs to be a little larger. I think they all need to be, but just like tiniest fractions of scale. Okay, so color, that was you and you. Okay, you go here. You go like that. Hey, we'll see. Yep. All right. Close enough. You know what? Let's see if that does anything. It's white in it. Because one of the things I'm really trying to avoid is just that like amateur drawing of like lips looking like kind of puffed up balloons or something. Not that to say I'm not an amateur, but I know what that kind of looks like and I'm trying to avoid it, but I don't know specifically what lips look like. I haven't ever paid an overly large amount of attention to them. Okay, so there's that. A little bit more here. I think that did it. No, I think they need to come out a little bit this way. Okay, let's try that. There's puffy lips. It's not to say that there's, because I do know a lot of people have lips like that, but she does not. She does not have lips like that, so I'm trying to avoid that. Let's see if it mix that up. I'm trying to be as accurate as I can. This is not necessarily a spot to experiment with because this is her face. I think that's one of the big ones. Something is up. I think that's it. I think that's you? Move that. I think that's the best I'm going to be able to do. But yeah, with the lips, especially anything in the face, very tiny, very subtle details make a huge difference. Just because we are so used to looking at faces every day, most of our lives, we pick up what is normal on a face and what is not. Well, that's not good. An X-Acto knife is I got like this one. If I could just hand it to the internet, I'd give it to you. But it doesn't work like that. But yeah, X-Acto knives are incredibly useful. It's crazy how useful those things are. I use them at work all the time. Even though you really shouldn't be using a knife on a phone. That seems kind of counter to fixing things, but that's what it does. Stupid question, have you checked your pockets? Have you checked places you may have left it down in another room or something like that? Yeah, that is one thing I always ask when people need help with whatever task. Have you tried the stupid option of checking your pockets? Have you tried the stupid option of turning it off and back on again? Well, no, we haven't tried that. Turn it off and back on. Hey, look, it works. Hey, cool. Because oftentimes we get too close to the situation, too involved in the thing, and we forget to look at it. I had that actually happen to me the other day. I was working on a phone, replacing the battery, but there was this little piece, this little cover on top of it, holding it in place. This tiny little piece. And I set it aside, and as I was taking it apart, when I put it back together, I was looking for that piece. I could not find it. It's like, where the hell was it? I just had it here. I just had it. Where did it go? And so I was sitting there overturning all the little parts and bins and pieces, trying to see where the hell it was, looking on the floor, looking in the folds of my pants because it maybe fell there and got caught. It's like, where the hell is it? Where the hell is it? And finally, I said, okay, let's just double check. Maybe it's under the phone. No, it's not under the phone. There's all this stuff. And then I came back. Let's check under the phone again. There it was. That little piece had a bit of adhesive on it. And what happened was I took it off, set it down, worked on the phone, brought it back over to the spot thing, and it got stuck to the bottom of the phone. So when I picked it up, it wasn't there anymore. I only noticed when I flipped the phone like this instead of picking it up that it was just sitting there all diagonal, straight as day, right there on the bottom of the phone. Like, oh, that's where it went to. And then everything else went smooth after that. But it's just silly sometimes how the world works like that. You end up losing very important things, but they just happen to be right there. Found it. Congratulations. All right. Where was it? Someplace stupid or in a crack of a couch or something? That would actually be a horrible place for an X-Acto knife to be. Give me a second. Doing eye shine here. Very, very, very precise little dab of white. Okay, so that's that. That's the feather up there. The bands. That was the next one, the gold bands. Leg your foot one day. Well, hopefully not. But at least the good news in that situation is, hey, at least you found it. But yeah, it's tools tend to be one of the things I don't misplace in general. Like if it's in this area, it'll stay in this area. It never leaves like this spot. Generally, occasionally you have to pull it out. Pull a tool out for a customer in the main area, not the workshop back there. But in that case, I do. You know what? I take that back. I'm actually really bad with tools, because I just remembered there was one day where I brought tools out to the main floor to help a guy work on a project, and it wasn't my workshop space, so I stuck it in my pocket. I brought those tools home. I forgot about them for 2 days. Like, oh yeah, they're in my pocket. I need to take care of that. Brought them to work, brought them back home, and oh yeah, I need to put those back, don't I? It's just silly little things like that. Okay. Vans. Yep, whoops. It was definitely just kind of what... I'm the only one who really uses it, so I was just the only one who had an issue with it. Who would have had an issue with it. But still, it's kind of silly. Alright, so that's... Alright. These are the only real colors I've got to work on a highlight. And I don't think they match up exactly, but it's what I got, so it's what I'm going to go with. I'm going to try and work with a bit of this dark yellow as the base, lighten it up, and then fill it out some with the water yellow. See how well that turns out. And it looks like it doesn't. Because on this band here, they've got a highlight right there. But I don't have that yellow. The most I can do is give a white shine to it. But it's still very pale. You know what, let's mix some of this base yellow in there. See how well that turns it out. Maybe that'll yellow it back up? Maybe? Maybe. I don't know. Oh, that's what I got. So I don't really have... And that is one of the other things, fascinating things about like painting as it is now. I physically need the colors. I can't create a more or less saturated color of something without it. Okay, give me a sec. That actually worked out okay. It's a little bit more. Maybe I could try a white highlight. Maybe that's what I can try. I've got one back here. Just like that. Of sorts. Fades way over there. And this one kind of has a one stop here. Yeah, let's try a white highlight. But a very, very faint one. I think that was too faint. guess that works. Very subtle, very small, but I guess it works. A very slight one over here. And one of the things is, like, that's how you improve. You find bits and things and you struggle. You learn to overcome things. Oh, there were some YouTube videos I've recently found, I think last week or so. They're called war stories about people who have made video games and how they overcame obstacles to do stuff. And one of them was Crash Bandicoot, one of my favorite game series. They're still coming out with Crash Bandicoot 4, and it looks, so far it looks alright. I think they came out with a demo PS4 or something. I don't know. But I'm rambling. Band, colors. I think the background is next. Okay. But the guy who, one of the guys who worked on it and created it, was talking about the ridiculous things they did to try and squeeze every bit of power they had out of the game. And they did a couple of really fascinating, but probably incredibly wrong things to do. For one, apparently the original PlayStation, which the game came off, had 2 megabytes of RAM and or processing power or memory. One of those, I can't remember specifically which one it was. I think it might have been memory. And so they we're saying, like, well, that's not a lot to work with, which is why a lot of the PlayStation games at the time were like really very open, empty, blocky levels, because that's all they could fit on the game. But the Crash Bandicoot guys, they thought of something a little bit different. They thought, well, we've got the CD, and the CD can hold like 640 megabytes, man. That's a lot of space, but we can't use it. Well, maybe we can. So what they ended up doing was inventing cache loading for a video game, which in essence, running out of space here for greens and such, was, let's cut off Laura's ponytail, and stuff like that. It's they just didn't have enough space. They had to fit everything into 2 megabytes. But these Crash Bandicoot guys managed to circumvent that a bit. What they did was they used the CD. So how it worked is you couldn't just put everything on the CD, because it'd take you like a minute or two to load it all, and doing that every frame was impossible. So what they did was they pre-cached everything into 64 kilobyte chunks, and so as you progress through the level, it would forget about these ones and read the future ones that were ahead of it from the disk. So like, they had a graphic, they had like a little grid system like this, and if you start down here, it'd load up all these things. But as long as you didn't go over 2 megabytes, you could have 2 megabytes of everything loaded. It'd forget the bottom stuff and work up and catch the next level stuff, like the stuff you were about to run into. They'd load that from the disk and then forget the other stuff. And it was fascinating, because apparently that's one of the games where if you open up the CD tray, the game immediately stops, because it is a requirement for the game to function. And it also apparently heavily overworked the laser on the drive, to the point that it failed if you did it for long enough, because the laser was designed to work in like every other minute or so for a couple of seconds, loading a level, things like that. But they used it continuously throughout the entire game. One of the other things they talked about was, well, they still needed more space to do things, and they found that the original software provided by Sony for the machine wasn't quite up to snuff. It was actually slowing down some of the stuff, so they rewrote some of the firmware on the system to be a bit more like circumvented it, rewrote it, something of that nature to make it work more effectively, so that they could cram more stuff out of the system. And there was even another section where they said, well, we needed a bit more and try to push it a bit more. So what we ended up doing was we started taking out bits of code from Sony, see if that broke anything, and then filled it up with space if it didn't. And if it broke it, we left it alone. Can't touch that part, but what about this part? And so they're taking out chunks of the firmware in there until it was still stable enough to work. And like, okay, it works. It's fine. But the thing is, all of those guys were working with severe limitations. Yeah. And that's why Crash Bandicoot looks so good, because they absolutely maximized everything they could on that system. They pushed every metric they could on there to get stuff like that. And that just gives me all that much more respect for the things they've done. But it's just fascinating seeing all that stuff come to light. Alright, so I'm going to be working on the grass here. This stuff here is just kind of a base layer. Yeah, I'd say so. But yeah, it's fascinating just learning some of that stuff. Oh, and I screwed that up. Great. Yeah, shit. Apparently I had some like white paint in here that dried and I didn't notice. That's gonna be fun to all wig it out. But yeah, it's fascinating. And to double up on that a bit more, the current game developers don't have those limitations. They quite literally have unlimited space and unlimited whatever, and if they screw up, they can just toss in a patch to fix it in later. The original developers couldn't do that. They straight up did not have that ability. We'll work with you and then cover it up. Okay. And so, working with limitations, with constraints, forces you to be better. Yeah, if you want to see something actually like truly just mind-boggling impressive, maybe not to a layman, but from a programming perspective, there is a Game Boy Advance game. God, I can't remember the name of it, but it's those two Viking guys. One little short guy, one little big, huge fat guy. He apparently fell into a magical potion and got all big. There's a game of whatever those guys are. I'm blanking on the name. That is actually a 3D game, not like fake 2D, like 2D sprites on a 3D thing, or like pseudo 3D. They made an actually functionally rendered 3D game on a Game Boy Advance cartridge. I have no idea how they pulled that off, but they managed to do it. And that is like just stupendously impressive. Because I think it's the only one in existence. Probably because no one does it anymore. Works for the Game Boy anymore nowadays, but it's just fascinating. And they made so many efficient ways of doing things. Yeah. Look it up. If you can never find the name of those Viking guys, they're a very famous comic duo. But I can't remember the name. I think one of the guys starts with an O for the name. I can't remember. But yeah, it's that's what they did. And it's fascinating just seeing all these people under severe limitations and finding out ways of circumventing it. And then you have modern people, modern setups where there is no limitation, and they just keep going, just put in more memory. That'll work, right? I think that was sap green. it's just, I think that's one of the big differences between then and now, and why some of the things, I'm not saying this is exactly why, but I think it's an attributing factor to why a lot of movies and games and things nowadays aren't quite as impressive, is because they haven't had to work so hard at it. I think one of the current examples is Mass Effect Andromeda, which was, I've never played it, but I've seen a lot of animation from it, and Mass Effect kind of stopped being a thing for me. I stopped at 2. I played the second one, haven't played the third one. But Andromeda they had so many odd, glaring graphical flaws and issues, but it still worked because they had the processing power to just brute force their way through a lot of issues. And it's like, don't worry, just get more power, that'll fix it. And it's, I think, just an example of how they no longer care about efficiency or optimization or anything like that. Or my brother-in-law plays a lot of Call of Duty. I think it's Call of Duty. Yeah, it's Call of Duty. And they have huge, like 100 gigabyte patches or something. I don't know, it's my brother who plays Rainbow Six, and they have just huge patches because they have to re-download all these files every time they update something. And it's like, you don't necessarily need to do that, but people have fast enough internet and big enough machines that it's tolerable. No longer just efficient or whatnot. Alright. I'm giving a base color here so I can more effectively give a proper setup to the grass. Give me a second. And I guess one way to put it is just laziness of a sort, but not fully. Kind of hard to explain. But in essence, a bit of laziness. But on the other hand, from a business perspective, why put in all that effort for something that's not really going to get much out of them? If we get a functional game, why should we care about it, how well it works? If it'll sell, right? But, yeah. Oh, Nightmare, welcome. Yeah, and one of the things is the same reason that the Stadia failed, or one of the reasons, is because a lot of people, especially people in rural areas like where I'm at, don't quite have the internet available to them. Currently, I'm streaming from a cell phone modem with a 4-foot antenna pointed to the town 20 miles away, and this is the best resolution I can give. It takes me a while to download things. Used to be I had satellite, which took even longer. And so whenever like these games come out with like an update every week, I just straight up could not play them because it would take me a week to download. By the time I'd finished, they'd have another update for me, and I couldn't ever physically play it. But yeah, so a lot of game companies just assume everybody has super internet. No, it's fine. They'll just take 5 minutes, right? No, everybody's hammering the servers and takes some hours to download those crazy files that you're just too lazy to optimize. Yada yada. But yeah, it's weird issues like that. and you know as well, right. And green is really hard to get out of the paintbrush. I don't know why. Okay, so hopefully that's good enough. If not, I'll find out later. Okay, so I'm doing the grass here. That was base layer. I don't quite like this specific color, but it's a dark-ish look to it. So that I can do the lighter colors and a bit more freedom. You have not found it yet. Well, have you tried looking in the ceiling? Did you end up, by chance, playing the, see if it'll stick in the ceiling game? That might have been an option. Alright, so this... Well, odd thing is, this grass is just all patchwork. Kind of just dab, 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 dab. For, the, everything. I'm not quite experienced with that technique yet. Oh yeah, it's on my leg. There it is. No. Things are going weird. I think I'm doing this backwards. I need to work from the back to the front, not the front to the back. Let's see where this goes. I don't like it. I don't like this. This is... The other thing is, there's a lot of different shades, and this is just one color I've got here. Well, let's see it. It's just... work it out. No, let's go like that, mix it up, and just grab random colors, see if I can just dab it like that. There we go. That ish. Yeah. Somewhat. Dabbing paint is weird, and this is where that illusion of depth comes into play. And I don't know how to do it. Bugging me the hell out. Alright. Repairs and stuff around the house. Alright. Stump? Chainsaw attachment. Ankle? An ankle grinder has the chainsaw attachment? I did not know they made that. Huh. Cool. At least you didn't try taking out a stump with a hatchet. That's ridiculous. But yeah, stumps are really, really a pain in the ass to get going. They just don't want to come out. Yeah, one of the ways you can get rid of a stump is with fire. You just burn it and keep an eye on it, and make sure that it doesn't get out of hand. But you just set it on fire, and then let it be, and just keep maintaining it. Though now may not be the best time or place to be starting a fire, so it works when it's not fire season. Anyway. But yeah, well, the other ones is digging up the roots around it, tying a chain to it, and pulling it with a big old truck. But you still kind of would have to chainsaw the roots because they're a pain. But yeah, so welcome, man. And I'm working at getting this stuff functional, but this is driving me nuts. How does this work? How does this work? Because it's all just a bunch of kind of half-ass patch spots, but I can't make it look right. And again, this is where my ability to make non-existent things falls heavily short. But I'm gonna keep trying. I'm gonna give it a shot, see how well I can make it. Same as last time. God. I don't know how to do this. I don't like doing this. Show the jug. Yeah, it's roots are what kill you with all that stuff. Yeah, 1 foot tall wasp nest? Yes, somewhat actually. We had wasp issues. Is the nest alive or just there? Because if it's alive, there's a type of thing you can there's a type of poison that you can use that'll just straight up wipe out the entire nest. Yeah, we used it a few years ago and have not had a yellow jacket ever since. Not even just nothing. Can't remember the name of it, but yeah, it's see if I can. It's alright. I got to do some space management here. Yeah, it's fill it off the ground, hang on a branch, and we had an exterminator out to spray it, and it didn't take apparently. Yeah, you don't need to spray this poison. This was one you just like, quite literally like, you take the poison, mix it in a can of like canned chicken, tuna, stuff like that, and set it off to the side. The wasp will just go in a frenzy over it, eat it all, take it all, bring it back to the hive, and the first things they do is they feed the young and they feed the queen. And so once you bring the poison through them to them, it'll just clean out the hive flat out. Give me a sec if I can figure out. My dad had a video that he saw, and I can't remember where it was, but he's also the guy who can sit there and scrounge through the internet and find things. I can't seem to find it. It's the same stuff as like flea medicine that you get for. No, it's like really cheap. We bought like a bottle of it like this. We used about that much. Wiped out everything for miles. It's a bit about how much you mix it. Like too much and it'll kill them on the spot. Too little and it won't take. So you may need to find a bit of a mix. But it's that flea medicine on dogs. It has a specific ingredient. It starts with a T. I think you probably could buy the flea medicine and that might work as well. But you get that and mix it in with like chicken and whatnot. Canned chicken is what works best. And just stick it out there. They'll take it and bring it to their nest, and they will quite literally devour that stuff. It's kind of crazy. But yeah, go look up on that line. If you I'll try and see if I can find it, and then maybe message you on Twitch with the actual name of whatever it's called. Because we've got it. I just have to go searching over there for it. I can't quite do that right now. But yeah, it's it absolutely works, and it'll like clear out any wasps in the neighborhood if they manage to get it as well. It's not expensive. It's very cheap. It's just you found the flashlight. Well, that's good. You were looking for a knife. Well, here's the thing. Have you checked the drawers? Have you checked like any place it might have rolled and fallen into? Did it have? Is it caught in like a wire setup that it fell into? I don't know. Just trying to give you advice, man. But yeah, if you look up like flea killing stuff that you drop off on dogs and cats and stuff, it's the same kind of thing. And because the poison is mixed in with meat, bees and the like won't take it. They don't accept meat. They don't do it. Only wasps and the hornets will take it. But yeah, it's they keep looking. More power to you, man. But one of the things is like the biggest thing about that poison is it's quiet. It just straight up wipes out the hive, and it's eerily quiet because after some time you hear like this buzz, just them always buzzing around. But when that stuff actually takes hold, it wipes out. And it's just dead silent. It's almost eerie how much it is. But yeah, I'll after the stream, another 20 minutes, so I'll go inside, check it out, and give you the name of it, so you can find it on your own. My dad bought it online, Amazon or something. And maybe I'll see if I can find the video for you as well. I want to try and finish up this painting though. Alright, so I'm for the most part just kind of like mixing up random bits of paint and seeing how much it wants to work out here. Oh, no problem. Well, thank you. It's working out. I'm almost done. It's always frustrating for me being like this close to the end, but still very, very far from it all. But it's getting there, and it's ambiguous landscape stuff that I have the most issue with. I can't quite get the hang of that part. Again, I gotta see it to be able to tell what it is. Alright, so we dab like that. And do a bit like you, a bit like you. At this point, I'm just kind of madly scrambling and splattering stuff on the painting, because I don't know how else to do it. But yeah, it's Alright, thank you. Found your tweezers. Good, man, that's very good. Just a little bit more, a little to the left, and you'll find your knife. It's okay. Stupid question. Is it behind your ear? Like you just set it up there and forgot about it? Is it where you put your glasses? I don't know your place, so I couldn't help you look for it, but do you have any kids that may have taken it? Oh, it looks behind my ear. Well, when you've tried everything and you're still not getting anything, you try anything. Yeah, I've been there. I've been there trying to find. This is a very important thing, and I've lost it. I have no idea where it went to. Yeah, there you go. Just I've got a solid blob there. That's what we needed. Just a blob. Well, it probably potentially might not be in the room. Did you, by chance, take a lunch and bring it with you to the kitchen and make a sandwich and just leave it there? Or something like that? Is it in your car? Well, I can't really give you an exact answer of where it is because I have no clue. The best I can give is out of the box thinking for you. Just look around in the kitchen, alright? Did you try the pantry? Yeah, I've got. Have you checked in the fridge? Because that might be a spot it could be. You know what? Let's bring in some red. See if that'll mix up some of that, and some of you. Around the kitchen, but yeah, it's. I don't really have much more I can give you. Just some odd, random thoughts like that. One of the other things is just stop thinking about it. and try and come back to it later, like I keep saying, for some of the stuff. Yeah, shit, that's very, very messy. It's so weird. I want to have just a smooth finish, and so all this patchy work is driving me absolutely insane. This is not what it should look like. This is not what it's actually does look like. And so it's still just frustrating. But I think I'm just laying the base layer and it's not quite there yet. What sort of paint are you using? Acrylic? Yeah, I'm using acrylic. It's the only real paint I've ever used. I don't have oils. I've never tried them. I heard that acrylic were easier to begin with. They were also recommended for miniature painting, which is what I started out with. And so it's kind of just what I've naturally been using. And it works, but it does take a lot of speed to keep it going without it drying on the brush time and time again. Let's scoop it up. But this isn't just an acrylic thing, this is just a generic painting technique that I know of that just doesn't vibe with me. But I'm trying it, I'm giving it a shot. Giving her all she's got, Captain. Yeah, not 40k, but the fantasy. I tend to like the fantasy stuff more, though apparently not many other people do. But yeah, the you know what? I might give me a second. Come on. Trying to fill in a lot of these gaps here. It's actually working out okay. It's working out okay. A bit of you, try and get some you. And see where we get to. But I'll pull out some. I've got them just sitting up on the shelf over there. I can play out some. Might not be the best quality of stuff, but I can show you. But yeah, I got my painting stuff career, I guess, started with miniature painting, because just little miniatures, they work out, right? Alright, so that's okay. You, a bit of brown. Get that going, a bit of green. Get that back up in here. This looks like an absolute mess, but it is what it is. And just kind of break up this big old red spot we got here. A bit more yellow, a bit more yellow. A bit less yellow, a bit less yellow. A bit more. Give me a sec. I know I'm ignoring chat at the moment, but I'm trying to use it because this paint dries really fast. Really, really fast. Alright. I think that's doing alright. A little bit right there. Let's go with that. Let's go with that. It was on the TV the whole time. There you go. There you go. Congratulations, you found it. Determination and persistence pays off. Alright, Oh, cool. It's I like people who can create as well. It's though I've never quite put myself in that category fully because I've always been a recreationalist, from there to there. But I'm working at it. Well, it is my belief that anybody can do anything. You just gotta want it and try it and work at it. Not that you always are able to, but for instance, one of the things my mom always talks about, we get arguments about this, spats, I guess is one way to put it. You can do it, but everybody has differing variations of how much it'll work for them. Like for me, I could do just about anything, but I'm not overly interested in programming, for instance. I can do it, but it's kind of annoying for me. Anyway, I'll be right back with some of my miniatures. I don't think... I'll be right back. I seem to be missing a couple of them. Ones I'm actually proud of. I think they're somewhere else, but give me a minute. Yeah, not the best. Just programming languages have you tried? I have made a game in Flash Player. It had 5 levels, and you jumped and punched enemies and stuff. So I've done that. I tried my hand at C++, I think it was, which worked out, but it was annoying. Miniatures. It's really hard to focus here. Give me a second. I'll try to change the camera. Give me a second. Configure video. Camera control. Zoom. There we are. A bit. Not quite the best quality, not quite everything I can give you. I was working with some Minions of Corn. I had no real specific idea. These were just ones I bought on sale that happened to be practice pieces. And again, I also don't have the best lighting in here because reasons. But I'll fix it one of these days. Alright. Give me a sec. Got a lot of windows here. I like high fantasy as well. That's what I kind of prefer personally. Yeah, there's a lot of little details. Like on the shield here, I had some fun messing with them, different little patterns and designs. So yeah, that's mostly it. All I got are... I do have this guy. I think this guy was actually my first ever miniature painting. I I believe, at a little games workshop that my uncle brought me. A little, I think, Bretonnian archer, I believe is the guy. Really not all that much there, but that's what I did. Maybe tomorrow I'll figure out where I put my other miniatures. But yeah, I've got a lot of little corn pieces here. Oh, this guy's head fell off. The swords were primed but not finished. Like I said, I had the paint dry out, and I had fun with like his arm. It's darker at the fingertips, but redder as it goes up. I was messing with shades like that. Yeah. Final Fantasy Dark Mage. Give me a sec. These are not really miniature boxes. I think they're just display cases for like baseballs and shit. So, like, which again I got like at a thrift store or something. So give me a sec. I'll be back in focus in just a moment. Click. There we go. High Fantasy Dark Mage, yeah, stuff like that. It's I enjoy it as well. Ooh, and paintbrush. Fantasy has just kind of like a fun feel to it. There's nothing against like Cyberpunk or like the Warhammer 40k stuff. It's got a bit of a fun feel to it, but it's also very dark and serious and stuff. Which, if you're like doing that all the time, can get down on you. But that can't be said for just about anything really as well. But mountain. Yeah, I can work on that. I think if I finish up this mountain range, just touch it up a little, might be able to call it good. Was it just that color? Not quite. I think I mixed it with you. Yeah, let's go with you. That seems to be about right. Give me a sec, just trying to clean up this last little bit. And that should be a decent mountain range. But yeah, it's whimsical about high fantasy. And the other things is like high fantasy can have a big range of stuff. Like there's high fantasy of like Final Fantasy, where it's like just magic all over the place. Then there's fantasy like Disney's Sword in the Stone or Fantasia, where it's just all sorts of weird like that, though I'm not overly particular to the Fantasia style. But yeah, life needs a bit of spice. No matter what spice you use, it needs a bit of a variance to it. But yeah, I've always liked the fantasy. It goes in different ways. Tolkien is low fantasy, actually. But yeah, that's I believe it's low fantasy because magic is much harder to come by. It's not quite all-encompassing, which is a weird kind of distinction, but interesting one nonetheless. Alright, I think that about does it. Alright. Give me a sec, fill in a couple of little spots here. And I think I've got a finished little piece here. I'll call that good. Basically the classification is high and low fantasy. High is where like magic is quite literally oozing out of every pore and rock. Like the rocks can literally like smile at you and twinkle and sparkle and shit like that. You've got flying zeppelins, and that's high fantasy. Low fantasy would be like a medieval realm with like maybe an alchemist that has to train years and figure out life and death for like one spell. That would be low fantasy. Alice in Wonderland would probably be high. If it was magic oriented, it's just Alice in Wonderland in itself is just high, not just high fantasy. J.K. Rowling would probably be a high fantasy rendition, but yeah, but closer in feel to a low fantasy with J.K. Rowling. There's magic all over in Harry Potter land, but it's yeah, it's high fantasy, but not quite as on the low end of high, if that makes any sense. As I understand it anyway. I could be wrong, but that's how I've come to understand it. I think they explained it a bit in D&D manuals. No, yeah, it makes a bit of sense. Like Conan the Barbarian would be a very good example of a low fantasy, where there is magic, but it's very, very rare, very, very specific, and takes a lot of effort and practice. Whatnot. There's like one evil sorcerer in the world, and Conan is fighting it with just martial strength. Stuff like that. And that's, I guess, the best I have to explain it. And it's a very gradient scale. There's no like point where, okay, you've now used one extra spell, therefore you are now in high fantasy. No, it's kind of just a generic tone. Alright, so for the final big reveal here we go. This is the final finished work of the Amazon I've got here. Minus one little speck I've got to fix. I've been working on the background there. You can see next to her legs over here. It's really kind of just blends in, but that's part of what it was trying to work for. There we go. Another one bites the dust. In black and white, after all. If it was, it would be pretty hard to do anything. Sorry, no. I like the way what looks my painting. I appreciate that, but if you're referring to something else, sorry, no. I'm gonna fix that before I leave because I'm gonna forget about it. Except when I look at okay, so that would be yellow and white. Do I have? Can I squeeze some out of here? No. And y'all dried up. Yeah, sure. Oh, there we go. It goes to you. But you're the wrong yellow. Okay, I'm trying to be a cheapskate here, so give me a sec. Finishing it out this week. Finishing up what? This painting is now done. I'm going to classify it as done. But I'm going to start tomorrow with a new project, the Sailor Moon one. That's what it happens to be. Give me just one moment while I fix this little mistake here. There we go. I'm done. Well, you don't ever really have to worry about disrespecting me or offending me or anything like that. The only way that would happen is if you start like blatantly defying my core beliefs to my face. You would have to work at offending me. But oh no, that's fine. This is people get tired, that's perfectly fine. Go sleep, go take a rest, because it is the end of the stream. And I've managed to finish the painting. I'm actually pretty okay with that. Really happy with how it came out. Face could be a bit different, but I don't know specifically how. The background was an attempt that came out okay, better than last time. So overall, I consider this a success. Stream, tram. Anyway, thank you for the interesting adventures. Anyway, I'm off, guys. See you later, and I guess tomorrow we'll start with Sailor Moon of some sort. Gonna have to do some research, I guess. That might be hard to explain. Oh well. See you later, guys. Have a good one. Hope you enjoyed.